single family is very difficult to sell a house today. The only people selling homes, new homes are selling for less than existing homes. So the sellers aren't creative enough to offer financing, and they can't get the price low enough to actually bring the buyers in. If rates fall off the cliff, the first thing that would happen is prices would come down, not go up.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Did he just say that we're going to get down to 4 by the end of the year? All right. Welcome to the Jaden and James podcast, where we talk about real estate and whatever else might come up. Today, I think we're doing a reaction video. Jaden, how's it going? Sorry, I forgot.
Doing great. How are you doing?
Good. Preparing for some thunderstorms rolling in here. So it's, what is it? 1 o'clock at night or in the daytime. And it looks like it's about 8 o'clock at night right now. So beware. So anywho, what's that?
Hopefully it doesn't snow.
Yeah, I got shorts on. So actually I put the plow away on the side-by-side. And I was over by the neighbor, and I'm like, I reach out, yell, I go, you think it's safe to put this thing away? But I will tell you, this day back in 2017, 16, damn it, it's on my Facebook. We got 8 inches of snow. You were here for 2, Jaden. So
was I?
Yeah, because it was before you left.
Yeah.
So I started laughing. I'm like, oh crap, because I took a picture outside the back door and it says, all the snow. Anyways, hey guys, I'm rambling here, but we got a good video. Actually, I don't even know if it's a good video. It could be a crappy video, but we're about to find out. We're going to get some reaction. Brady's going to play it for us, and we're just going to keep going from there. So I know Grant Cardone's in it, so shoot it, hit it, Brady.
Roll.
What are you seeing right now happening in the real estate market?
Well, it's just, there's lots going on. And we've got a bunch of debt. Single family is not going to, let's just start there. Okay.
Yeah.
Very difficult to sell a house today. The only people selling homes, new homes are selling for less than existing homes are. And that reason that is because the new homes are subsidizing the rate. They're buying the rate down from 6.5 down to 5.5 or even lower.
Mm-hmm.
They're subsidizing down payments. And Bill down the street that wants to sell his house, the guy that wants to sell his house here can't do that, or he doesn't think he can. So the sellers aren't creative enough to offer financing, so they just lower their price, and they can't get the price low enough to actually bring the buyers in. Now, mortgage rates look like they want to fall off the ledge right here.
Yeah, they just dropped below 6.
Yeah. So they're below 6. I think they go down to 4. I think they're going to just collapse here in the next 6 months.
What do you think that's going
to
to
happen?
That's interesting.
Whoa. Did he just say that we're going to get down to 4 by the end of the year?
Well, he said 6 months. This was in February, so this is 2 months ago. And they've actually gone up since this was recorded. So
has it? I thought it's gone down. I thought it had.
Rates went up after the Iran war started.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I forgot about that.
They went up a little bit. They're 6.25 now. They were at about 6. So, I mean, I think what he was thinking probably is inflation was coming down. We're going to get a new Fed chair in pretty soon, I think in a couple months. And the new Fed chair could drop rates quickly, potentially. So It could happen. I sure hope it does. I mean, if we had rates that go from 6 to 4, the real estate market's going to explode.
Well, all the refi back people are going to finally.
If that was a for sure thing going to happen, we should stop selling all houses now and just sit on them. But I don't know for sure if that's going to happen. I'm pretty skeptical.
Hold on. Let me grab the crystal ball here. Crystal ball.
I have not heard anybody else predict that they're going to drop to 4. I've not heard anybody else say that. I think most people are predicting like maybe a 5.5% interest rate by the end of the year. Maybe like low 5s, maybe would be aggressive. I think.
So why does he get away with saying that? Because he's Grant Cardone?
Maybe he'll explain to us why he thinks that. But
let's do it.
My guess the new Fed chair might be the reason he's thinking that.
The housing market will be. Real estate agents will start making money again. Brokers will start making money again. Mortgage brokers.
So does that mean then you are bullish long term for single family homes?
No.
Because if mortgage rates drop, don't you think that all of a sudden then affordability comes back, and that the buyer could now pay what the seller wants?
Yeah, I think what happens in the beginning, contrary, is I think that if rates fall off the cliff, if they would come down really fast, which is what Trump wants.
Yeah.
And the first thing that would happen is prices would come down, not go up. If rates dropped, I think what happens now, and most people don't agree with this, I think the supply is going to go so high. So many people are going to be like, okay, now's the time to sell our house.
What? Hold
The
on.
supply is going to increase. So
Hold on. How does the supply? You can't. Magic
He's saying
can have more.
a lot of people aren't selling their house because rates are high and they know it's hard to sell right now, so they're not selling. And that's been true for a few years now. So he's saying that once this rates come down, everyone's going to go, okay, now's my time to sell. Which this might be exactly what happens. That everybody will flood the market with real estate, and it might reduce. I could foresee that possibly. It's hard to say for sure. Like, we don't know. I mean,
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is this. I thought there was a shortage of houses. So
well, I think in certain states that's not true. That was what you're saying. That's like from 3 years ago. This housing shortage just from like 3 to 5 years ago.
Yeah, but I thought we've really solved that problem. I mean, the builders aren't caught up yet.
Well, there's not a housing shortage in Florida. I can tell you that.
What?
There's not.
Right.
There's not.
So I'm trying to have an understanding. So, okay, just see if you can follow my logic, and then you can tear it apart however you want it. The rates are going to go down, and then now all of a sudden everybody wants to go to the market. Aren't we just swapping houses? So how is there going to be more?
Well, yeah, you're assuming that somebody that's selling their house is going to go buy another house. So
Yeah.
Does that really increase supply? It's only going to increase supply if somebody sells a house and doesn't buy another house. If they sell a house and move to an apartment, or
are they talking about the boomers then? And the boomers,
maybe the boomers. I mean, the boomers that I know in my family and stuff. This is what I've seen: is that none of them are selling houses. They don't have any interest in selling their houses. They just keep on adding onto them and renovating them. So I don't see like any of them going,
"Oh man, their own house."
I can't wait till rates drop so I can sell my house. I've not heard anyone say that.
Yeah,
No,
that's where I say that it's a little that if I understand what you're talking about, but I understand more of it as if people are still selling across, they're not going.
It'll increase activity in the market. The activity is going to increase because you'll have buyers and sellers both transacting more. But will inventory go up? I don't know. Maybe you have landlords that want to sell rental properties or vacant Airbnbs that they've been sitting on that they'll list. That would increase inventory. That would
I could see something like that. But again, sorry, I just went down a little deeper hole.
It's a good question. Like, where is the inventory going to come from where someone's not going to go buy another house? It would be coming from investors, hedge funds. Would the hedge funds and investors start selling properties if the rates drop? They could.
No, they're just going to go buy more and put more on there.
I mean, if rates drop, they might want to go buy more because now they can get cheap money. So it's hard to say for sure what.
Yeah.
He's definitely making some assumptions. Like, I don't know if anybody could really predict what's going to happen, but.
Well, if he does, I'm going to follow him everywhere then. If it all comes true.
I think in Florida, if the rates went down to 4%, the prices would stabilize down here. Because right now they're dropping about 5% a year. I think they would stabilize.
But see, we've had this conversation before. Again, not all markets are the same, but Florida got overwhelmed like Texas. Like Texas is having a problem right now.
Too much built and too many houses were built.
Well, it's almost like they're putting their foot in their mouth. Well, no, but they and then they had all these people moving from California, New York, going down to Florida and overpaying for houses. So again, what everybody thinks that the market's stabilizing now, not because they're coming back to realistic pricing. These people aren't paying cash for this stuff anymore. I mean, I think you told it on a story that the people that lived across the street from you sold their house for $100,000 less than they bought it.
I think it was maybe $200,000. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that sucks.
Yeah, you had those people moving in 2022 when the prices were ridiculous and just buying stuff at crazy prices without even looking at it, and it was pretty obvious at the time that they were making huge mistakes. But yeah, now we're seeing the backside of that. Those people some of them are reselling at huge losses, But it was a pretty short period of time where that it was like the last half of 2021 and most of 2022. If you bought a house in Florida at those times, not a good time to buy a house in Florida. You probably lost money.
I thought it was more the people who bought it in 23, 24, where they thought they were still riding the 20.
Maybe, I mean, in 23, the prices didn't really come down that much. So you probably still overpaid in 23.
Yeah.
24, were coming down a little bit. I mean, if you bought a house in the last 4 years, you most likely have lost money because they've just been going down every year. You know, but they're just not going down a ton. But in 22, like 22 is when you were like prices were like they jumped. You know, like things were getting bid up 10%. So $1 million house was selling for 1.1 million just because of the bidding war. You know,
right? Yeah, that's a nice problem to have.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it rolling.
Hey, producer Brady here. Are you a wholesaler or real estate investor? Let me tell you about my friends at Easy REI Closings. They are the world's largest transactions coordinating company designed by investors for investors, and they handle deals in all 50 states. Their mission is to take the admin work and closing coordination off a real estate investor's plate so that they can focus on the income producing activities to help their companies scale. If that sounds like something you could use, check the link in the description down below and get more information. Now let's get you back to the video.
So much that everybody's going to be like, I'll drop my price right now because I want to move into that other house. So it's going
to then secure another low interest loan?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're trying to move to something right now. Look, for a sale to take place, there has to be motivation on both parties. So for me to compromise my price, I got to want to go do something else. And right now there's no urgency to compromise my price because I have no place to go. The moment I have some place to go, then I compromise my expectation for what I want for my house because I want to go to this other place so bad. And that doesn't exist in the system right now. You got to have supply. You got to have a lot of supply. You got to have tremendous demand. And you also have to have an urgency by both parties to say, I'm ready to roll right now because I get a low rate, not a low price. By the way, I'd rather a low rate than a low price all day long. This is what Trump wants, by the way. He doesn't want to destroy the equity in the housing. There's about $38 trillion equity sitting in homes, and he doesn't want to destroy that. He could, he doesn't want to do that because that would hurt your parents. It would hurt anybody that owns a home. What he wants to do is drop the rate, maintain the equity, and have people be able to afford a home.
So what do you think is the best way to make money in real estate?
Yeah, so that's why he's saying he thought that the rates would drop to 4% because Trump, and I was thinking this too, Trump really wants rates to go down. But I'm like, well, we're a year and 4 months into Trump's presidency and rates haven't hardly moved. So, yeah, I mean, Trump wants rates to be as low as possible, but they haven't come down hardly at all. So
is that something you think the Republican Party sets up for going in for, Vance? I'm sure Vance is going to run.
Well, you got the midterms coming up in November. So I think you could make the case that they're going to push really hard to get mortgage rates down this summer for the midterms in November. So I think what you're going to see probably this summer is you're going to see oil prices come down and mortgage rates come down. Because if they don't, the Republicans are in trouble in November. They're going to lose.
Yeah, well, it's amazing. I know I've thought about that before, and it just made me think that how not corrupt, but
how simple these things are. It's just like the data has proven this. If people are unhappy about oil prices and inflation and stuff in like the summertime before an election, the incumbent party's going to lose. So they need to fix that. So yeah, I think you probably see mortgage rates come down into the 5s this summer, maybe low 5s. I think they don't have to go to 4. I think people would be happy if they were 5.25. From 6.25 to 5.25, that's a big difference. And I think that free market to start moving more.
I was trying to think of what I had at one time, and I think the lowest that I ever had was like 6.25 maybe is like when we bought it.
Our first house was 5.75, I think, in 2005. I thought that was a good rate. I was pretty happy with that. Rates in the 5s were pretty normal for a long time. For the 90s and 2000s, that was a good rate, 5.5.
Well, you could have a mortgage. Our mortgage payment was like $1,200.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where could you own a house?
Same. Ours was less than that. Even. Ours was less than 5.75.
Yeah, it's just yeah. Anyways, yeah. Go ahead, Brady.
In 2026, or is it just waiting?
Well, it's not the single family home. if you force me though into the single family home and said, look, Grant, how would you make money in single family homes? Well, I would pick 3 or 4 cities. Miami would be one of them. And I'd say I'd probably go do, as much as I hate this concept, but you're saying short term, you just want to make some money. I'd go flip old 80s homes in Miami in certain locations in 5 or 6 different pockets. You need a place where there's old inventory. There's old 80s, 8-foot ceilings, old kitchens, and you go in, rehab them, and pick up 15 or 20,000 a unit. But the problem is you need some money to do that. You're not going to need a mortgage. You need some money to flip that house, and you need guts. And now you're back in a sales game.
Pause.
Now you got to buy it.
You too can get a Home Guys franchise.
That's what Home Guys does.
I figured it was a good time for a quick commercial, guys. Yeah, he's.
I think he's right though with single family. Like in most markets, single family rentals don't pencil out very well at all. So if you're going to do single family, like flipping is kind of the way to make some money doing it.
Right. So yeah, I just thought that was a really good opportunity to stick it. Home Guys USA, look us up. All right, go ahead, Brady.
To try to steal the house. You're calling on 100 people to get 1 or 2 deals, not 100 people to get 40 deals. So that's why the AI thing and the social media thing would be such much greater return than me trying to get you to sell me your house that you just bought.
Those would still be active ways to make money, though. Like you're spending your time making money. What about passive income? Like if you're going to deploy your capital in any asset, would real estate be the optimal asset class, or what would be?
I didn't know I had any money. I didn't know I had any money. I thought I was broke.
Well, let's just say someone's out there, they're working a job that they went to college for. They're making 75, 80K a year.
Yeah.
And they don't want to change career paths, and they have this disposable income that they want to invest somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, that's a different play. So you're describing me when I was 29 years old. I'm making 80 grand a year. I have 30,000 left over. I do that 2 years in a row. I do it 3 years in a row. I got $90,000. I'm not overspending. I live like him, very frugal. He watches every $12 that he spends, every $1, every 10 cents. And so I'm banking money over here. I don't know what to do with it. And then I started buying real estate. So I started using that real estate to leverage. I would go buy, but it wouldn't be a single family home. It'd be at least 4 units. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac today have a 5% program where you can buy 4 units. It's limited to the 4 units and $1 million. I think it's $1,390,000. 5% down. So on a $1 million 4-unit complex, you could put 50 grand down. On 200 grand, you could put $10,000 down, and you'd get 4 units of cash flow. But you're not getting rich, dude. You basically took $5,000. You have 4 units. You're the manager. You got to go collect $6,000 a month, 4 times 1,500. You're going to have to fix the place, garden the place, collect the checks, evict people, look at lease notices, qualify people, like fix the plumbing. So that ain't passive, bro.
What would you recommend to someone who has maybe 30 or 40K?
Let's go ahead and stop right there. Yeah, so that's actually what he's talking about is like the number one thing I did a video on this actually. If I talk to somebody that's younger, like what should they do in real estate to generate wealth? What he just said is the number one thing I tell people to do. Go buy a duplex or a fourplex. You can still have your other career or whatever. You don't need to be a real estate professional. Do that full time. You can just do this on the side. Go buy a duplex or a fourplex. Do the 5% down loan. I think it can be even lower than that. Maybe it's 3% if you live in one of the units. FHA, I think, is a 3% program if you live in one of the units. So you can buy these things. I mean, a lot of real estate for a very small down payment. And then, but like you said, usually you're going to have to be like pretty actively involved in managing that place because it probably isn't going to cash flow enough to pay a property manager. The other thing with a property manager is you lose a lot of control over your expenses and things. And you just have to have a lot more cash flow to cover the inefficiency of that. It's much better if you can manage it yourself. So, but if you do that when you're young and you buy, a couple duplexes, buy a duplex every year for 10 years. So you have 20 units after 10 years. I mean, you don't have to ever, you're going to retire rich doing that.
Right. So I would even say, even if it was 2 years, Jaden, because typically it's the 2 years.
Yeah. Every other year to buy a duplex.
Yeah. You turn and burn, but you're definitely going to set yourself up for success if you do that.
Yeah, it's like an automatic millionaire program. It's the there's almost no risk to doing that as long as you buy them right. You know what you learn and know what you're doing. But yeah, and not a lot of people do it, so it's a pretty good way to go if you want to have a different career.
Right.
All right, we'll see what else he's got to say. I think he's going to talk about passive investing, and probably he's got a real estate syndication fund, and I'm pretty certain he's going to pitch that right now. But let's find out.
Money that they can invest somewhere. They're able to save a little bit of money at the end of every month.
Yeah.
Where should they deploy that?
Well, I'd say invest it with me, but it's not enough
You can't
money.
say that. That's the one thing.
It's not enough money, so I don't need to say it.
Where would they be putting that money?
I would do what I just said. I would do the 4-unit deal and suffer and go do 10 up. I do 4 units.
Hey,
I'd take $5,000.
You heard this before.
I'd buy
no, I
4
haven't heard
units,
this before. This is exactly the same thing
and
I
then
tell
I'd go
people.
do a second one and a
That's
third one. I'd do
awesome
them
that
if I could do it.
This is exactly the same thing I tell people to do. So it's funny hearing him say the exact same thing. So I have not heard many people say this, actually. It's not talked about that much. But I ran a financial peace group at church a few years ago with a table of young people that were like 18 to 25. And they were asking me all these investing questions, real estate questions. And I was trying to figure out what's the best thing I could tell them to do that would help them the most. This was the number one thing I could think of to tell them to do, was to go buy duplexes and fourplexes when they're young. And if they can live in one of the units, even better, because you get better financing. Your rates are lower, lower down payment. Plus, you can manage the place. So you actually live for free, too. Live in one of the units, live for free, manage the place. You're on-site manager, free labor. It's really like there's so many efficiencies with doing that it's and when you're older and have and you're married with kids, you can't do that. So you really got to do it when you're young. I would tell if you can do it at 18, 19 years old, that's a great time to start, because your labor is cheap when you're that age. You don't cost that much to do work. So it's really a good program. But yeah, that's awesome to hear him saying the exact same thing.
Actually, you wouldn't believe it, Jaden, or maybe you do believe it, but there's a lot of, I see that on Facebook all the time. Hey, I'm looking to buy a fourplex. I'm looking, everybody wants to, thinks they're advertising on Facebook to get a fourplex. I don't know if I don't know if a fourplex has ever been sold for under retail value.
You can find the 80-year-old senior citizen with a fourplex selling it on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, because that's what everybody wants. That's kind of that's the niche. It's just now trying to find those fourplexes.
I think honestly, direct mail is probably the best way to find those. I mean, I have a really personal, well-written letter, handwritten letter, direct mail to people would be a good way to do that. Mm-hmm. Or drop off, a letter or whatever. That's probably the best way.
I need to talk to you about that place we went to go see last year or 2 years ago. He's doing really awesome. He was on to something about building in that neighborhood. And those houses are selling really quick.
I have no clue.
Remember we went to Wisconsin? We went to Wisconsin last year.
Yeah,
and looked at a property.
Yeah.
And we talked about maybe investing. The only reason I bring that back up is because of what he was saying is the new construction seems to be selling a lot better because they can buy down points. But again, when is that all of a sudden going to change? Somebody changes their marketing, then all of a sudden the rates drop and now it's not the same again.
Yeah, that's interesting. We looked at that deal out in Wisconsin. Is he doing it himself? He never sold it?
Yeah, he's doing it himself.
Yeah. I mean, we looked at it. I looked at the comps and I'm like, the comps were terrible. And, selling new houses for $350 or $400 when the comps are at $200 to $250. I was like, I don't know how this is going to work, but I didn't know the area that well. He was from that area, so he understood it. And that's the kind of thing where, like, if you've got local knowledge, you've got conviction and confidence, because it's a lot of risk to take on. Building. It was a small development of new construction. It's a risky thing to do if you don't know the market and know what you're doing. So, which we didn't. So I'm glad we passed it. I'm glad it's working out for him though.
So I guess my point is do we now look into a project where you're building something where you build a fourplex because everything seems to be cheaper,
Yeah, you could. I mean, I think that's a great idea. Building a new as long as you get a good deal on the land and you can build the property at a good cost basis. That's really nice because then your maintenance costs are really low because it's new, and you can get good tenants because it's new. So yeah, that's a good idea.
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of curious on that. That should be something to look in because again, we have that spot up in we have a property where we have a lot of land that butts up to a nursing home. But there's still one more house that needs to be bought, and I still think we need to go after that too, because we can either put a small apartment there. I think there's a longer play there. I know that.
Yeah, about a couple triplexes or something there, possibly.
All right, go ahead, Brady.
Them on the same block, I would do them on the same block. Now, what are you buying now? 4 units. It was built in 1970. It's old, shitty 4 units. That's all they built back in the 70s. They were building 4 units. In the 80s, they're like, hey, let's build 8 units. And then they built 8s. And then they said, let's build 16. So you'll see them by age. Today, they're only building 350 units. So you'll see these big complexes going vertical. But that's what I would do. Now, is it fast money? No, it's just a little bit of drip. 30 grand's going to earn them maybe $3,000 a year. So you traded 30 grand for $3,000 of income. And most people won't do that. They're like, I want my 30 grand. Your 30 grand is going to be worth 3 grand here in the next 10 years. They're just going to keep printing money. So you need to convert your cash, the 30K, into something more valuable. In this case, it was, let's say, 150,000 of real estate, 30 grand leverage, 20% down, about $150,000 property. The value of that property is going to go up as they print money, but it's just a drip. You're only earning 3 grand a month. You're earning, $250 a month. You're like, this is not a deal. I traded 30 grand for 250 a month. I would do that trade, but most people watching this are going to say $250 is nothing. So they won't do it. But you would never say just $250 because you're a miser.
Yeah. So what he's right. Like you're in $250 a month for doing a lot of work, having a lot of pain in the butt kind of work. Like you got to collect rent, you got to chase your tenants for rent. Sometimes you got to fix problems, you got to fix toilets, and for $250 a month, there's no way it's worth $250 a month to do all that work. But what you got to look at it is you're controlling a piece of real estate that's worth a couple $100,000, and it's going to go up with inflation every year. So if inflation is 3 to 5%, $200,000 property is going to go up $6,000 to $10,000 a year, and in 5 years it has gone up $30,000 to $50,000 just automatically without you. You just have to manage it. But now in 3 to 5 years you have, and you've also paid the loan down, so now you've got equity in that property that you can then go redeploy into something bigger, and that's why you do it. You don't do it for the $250 a month. I would just put back into the property. I wouldn't even pay myself that. I've learned over the years not to take any money out of rental properties because they always need fixes and upgrades and stuff. So I've never paid myself a dime for rental properties. You just use it for building wealth. But once you've got a little equity like that, you can go buy a little mobile home park or a self-storage facility that actually does cash flow pretty well. And self-storage, you can buy 5 to 10% down with SBA because it's a business. So that's a pretty good deal. Mobile home parks, I think, are a little tougher. I don't think you can get a low down payment loan on mobile home parks that I'm aware of. So you get seller financing on them, though.
I think that's the more popular for that, isn't it?
Yeah, go get seller financing or seller carryback. Go get a bank loan at 70%, and then do a seller carryback of 20%. So you're bringing 10% down. And a mobile home park, you can cash flow. One mobile home park could replace your income if you're the one managing it. So. You might need $100,000 or $200,000 to do something like that, but then you might be able to just, stop working at your job and just manage your mobile home park.
Right.
We'll see what else he's going to say.
250 if you save that over 30 years, invested at a 7% return, that's over $1 million.
Yeah. So $12 to
there you go. Him, right? Exactly.
So that's why he's going to Korea he got them perks.
So what do you think is the biggest risk?
A really scary truth is just how vulnerable your digital life is. And most people have no idea until it's too late. And then they're stuck spending several hours trying to solve a problem that they did not create. So don't become /iced.
So what do you think is the biggest risk to housing prices over the next few years?
I think the biggest risk is that, the baby boomer dies.
Don't they then pass off their wealth?
Yeah, they're going to pass it off. They're going to pass it. The 3 of us, we're brothers, and our parents die. The last parent dies, and their home is in Shreveport, Louisiana. And we get the notice, you live in LA, you live in Las Vegas, and I live in Miami. Oh my God, he died. Okay, we go in, we see the will. You guys get to split the house. He has no other assets. Do you want to move to Shreveport and live in the house?
I will not.
Do you want to live in
No, I
Shreveport?
wouldn't.
Largest
We'd sell it.
flying roaches
Yeah,
in the world
right.
live in Shreveport.
How do you know that?
Because I lived in Louisiana.
Okay.
You know, I dated a girl there. So, and she came with roaches, by the way. It was worth it.
Oh my God.
But oh my gosh. And we're going to be like, dude, what's the house worth? Okay. We haven't even buried our father
Yeah.
yet. And we're like, what's the house worth? Somebody says, maybe 200. Okay. The housing market sucks right now. So we're going to list it. And one of you guys is going to get, like, I got time. No problem, guys. Whenever it sells, I'm fine. And then you guys are like, sell it. Drop the price. We're going to have a phone call a month later. Hey, guys, drop the price. You and me are going to be like, just drop the price, right? You could see to you, it's found money. We have no emotional connection or attachment to the house. We're not living in it. It's getting degraded.
Yeah.
The kitchen's old. The ceilings are bad. The real estate agent that got the listings now going to tell you, oh my God, you need to paint it. You need to take all the furniture out. We need to reset it up. We need to refurnish it. All that's going to cost money, guys. It's going to be $6,000 to do that. All the three of us need to each come up with $2,000. And you're like, hey, fuck it. Sell the fucking house. Just sell it. That's my biggest concern is that you're going to have tens of millions of people all dying in a period of 12 months. Okay. We got 10,000 baby boomers dropping out of the workforce every day. Then you're going to have them dropping like flies, all hitting in their 80s.
That sounds very morbid. Jeez. Do we have that many people dying? Where are all these people dying?
And how are these houses not coming on the market? I mean, this is unreal.
Well, I was just going to say, I wanted to just another Home Goods USA pitch. This is most of what we deal with is houses like this that he's describing, and it's houses where somebody lived there for 50 years and they're moving to assisted living, or they passed away, or something happened. The kids might have it, or maybe the person that moved to assisted living is still alive, but they're not caring for it anymore. And I mean, we get a lot of houses like this, don't we? Would you say, James, this is over half our business, probably?
Well, yeah, I mean, but it's not the way he's saying it.
Well, he's saying they're going to list it for sale on the market, but which I think sometimes they do. But what we find is that a lot of times they don't want to list it for sale on the market because there's just a lot of problems. Like somebody may have died in the house, or somebody was disabled in the house.
It comes back to what we do with our business is we take care of everything for them. They don't want to clean out all of mom's stuff. Like this example that he gave, no one wants to go all the way there to clean out the house when, oh shoot, if it's worth 200, you're going to give me 80,000 for it. You take the damn thing. All right, it's done. I didn't have to worry about anything.
He's talking about them listing the house. I think what we found, at least in our market, I think a lot of others, is that these people will call one or two or three real estate agents, have them go out to the house, and then the agents will call them back and say, okay, well, you got to clean up the house, get this fixed, get that fixed, get it cleaned up, get it painted, get the lawn mowed, the brush trimmed back, and then I'll list it for you. You may call back when it's all done, and I'll throw it on the market for you for a 6% commission. And they'll hear that 3 times, and they'll be like, none of us even live anywhere near this state, and we don't want to do any of that. Like, yeah, we can fly out there and deal with all that, but it's not worth our time to do it. And then, then they talk to a company like ours, and we say, well, we'll just buy it right now. We'll take care of everything. We'll just buy it from you, send you a check, cash closing, and we'll just do everything. Like, you don't want to deal with any of this. So that's where a lot of our business comes from, is that exactly that situation. People always ask us, well, why would somebody sell a house for less than it's worth? Well, because it's in a situation like that. They can't get the retail value out of it because of the situation. They'd have to put a lot of effort and money into it to get there, and they don't want to.
Right.
So that's the service we offer.
Go ahead,
80s or 90s, drop it, just dying. Or they don't die, they go to senior housing, or they go to dementia. I can't remember myself who I am. I don't remember any of the great things I've done in life. I don't remember any of the interviews we did together. Grant Cardone, forgot that he's Grant Cardone, right? And Bruce Willis.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's terrible, dude. Like, but it's it could happen to me or you, or our parents. And so nobody cares about the house anymore. That guts single family homes. The other part that concerns me is the guys that are your age don't really want this responsibility that you have, this acre here. So you got 75 million baby boomers that have no interest in home housing. They're dying off. They're not going to buy a new house. They have zero. They're going to spend less money here in the last 25 years of their life than they spent at any other period in their life. They're not spenders and they're not travelers. They're not going to fix the house. They're not going to Costco or Home Depot to, put on a new look. They're not buying new furniture. They don't need it. They don't want any changes. So you got that third that's dying out, and you got the bottom third entering in that doesn't really want to own that home.
What's the flip side to that? Is there a bullish case where maybe AI makes things so deflation?
Do they not want to own the home because they just don't want to be homeowners, or is this a whole new technical tech thing where they live in the new world?
He was saying that these younger people, these guys, I mean, I think these guys they're not that young. These guys look like they're mid-30s, maybe even upper 30s. I don't know. But they're like, how old do you think these guys are? 30?
I think they're in their 20s, for crying out loud.
This Graham Stevens guy is like a multi-millionaire. He's had a pretty long career already. He's got to be at least in his 30s.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's not in his 20s. There's no way. Now, he may not have kids, so he looks younger than he actually is.
Fact check. He is 34 years old.
Thank you. I think that both these guys are mid-30s, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if they have kids or not, but this is that I'm 44, and the people that are just a little bit younger than me, this millennial generation, like mid-30s, upper 40s, are millennials, and I'm like more Gen X. They have a different philosophy about everything in life. And what Grant is saying is that those people don't want to have responsibility of owning homes. I think what he means is they don't want to have a responsibility of owning like these types of homes that these older people have, like these, a house on an acre lot that's, a big house that needs a lot of maintenance and a lot of yard work and a lot of different things. I think these younger people want to have easier places, and I think a lot of them are probably
experiences.
Yeah, they're okay renting and moving around and experiencing life.
Well, right, Jaden, they want the experience.
Yeah, so I think part of what he's saying is true, but it's pretty general. Like, is it really true that nobody in the younger generations wants a house on an acre and a half of land? I mean, I don't know. I'm 44. I definitely do, but maybe people that are 10 years younger than me have no interest.
No,
I can't speak for them.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. The whole time I can hear you. Yep. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, you're good. It flinched and then I'm like, or flickered and I'm like, what the heck? I had something in my head. Oh, one of the other things that he's didn't say, and I don't know if he's still going to say, but the co-living, that's becoming more of a thing. So, people aren't necessarily wanting their own houses. There's 3 generations in one house now.
Yeah. I think if you look at the economic situation, it's probably more the economic situation more than younger people don't want an acre and a half of land in a big house. Like, they may just not be able to afford to do that. It might be more the situation because they don't have the same economic opportunities that these older generations had. I don't think. It doesn't seem like they do. And, we lost James. James bailed.
Yeah, that's interesting. We'll see if he joins back in or not. I think his internet was
a lot of internet problems.
He kept kind of half freezing, but then his audio would still kind of work.
Yeah.
See what happens. As a young person, I will say, I personally am very interested in having a property that's hopefully bigger than an acre. I don't need a massive house.
Yeah.
Having a little bit of space to live on, I'm very interested.
So I think it's a little he's talking about these guys are like urban millennials that live in big cities.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, probably those guys want to live in a condo or something, but that's not everybody.
That disgusts me just thinking about that.
I have zero interest in doing that.
Exactly.
So it really depends on who you are, where you're from. I'm from a small town in North Dakota. I don't want to live in a big city.
Right. Yeah, I'm from Lakeville, which is generally a big suburb of some cities, and I'm I'm done. I'm good. I'm ready to be out.
Yeah. No. So I think he's definitely overgeneralizing, but I think there is something to do with the economics of it, where my in-laws have a house on 2 acres that's probably worth $700,000 now. Is some young couple going to buy that house? Probably not. It's probably going to have to be somebody a couple with kids in their 40s or 50s because they're going to have some money to buy that house.
Oh, I just realized that they're not exactly. Why are you going to spend money and be close to a road or something like that? That kind of. Oh, they're not that bad. They're down in the valley,
No,
aren't they?
you can't even see the road or hear it from where they're at.
Okay, so that's good. Yeah.
But
all right,
but
sorry about that,
when they
guys.
bought the house, they were also a couple with kids when they bought it. So it's, they were in their 40s probably, or upper 30s, low 40s, and then whoever buys it will probably be in their upper 30s or low 40s with kids. So, no, I don't foresee this whole idea that no one's going to buy that house. But that's the house he's talking about. He's on a couple acres of land, needs a lot of work, a lot of maintenance. It's a big house, a few thousand square feet. So, yeah, there's still people that want to buy those houses, guaranteed. I'd like to see a chart that shows what he's talking about these baby boomers passing away. What does that look like over the next 10 years? Is there a peak when that's expected to happen? We should maybe you can pull up a chart later, Brady, and throw it in here of when the peak baby boomer deaths will be, because that could affect the housing market. We haven't seen it affect it yet.
Okay, what is that? What's the baby boomer? 50 to 65? No, yeah,
no, they're older than that.
No. The years that they were born.
Oh, the years?
Yeah, 19.
I believe that is pretty accurate.
46 to 64.
The 64, okay. And then Gen X starts at 65.
Yeah.
So, my dad, they're all 70s. He's right. There is going to be a point. It's like World War II people. But they're not all in one spot, guys. It's not like are you going to see a big hole, or maybe you're going to see a hole in Florida? I don't know.
Well, I think Florida you could. There's a lot of seniors down here.
Are we looking let's just do the timing, right? And let's put it hey, what is it? Men are 76, 77 years old. Women, I think, are in the 80s now that they live. So let's just call it 78 an average. When is 78 going to be hitting for all these baby boomers? What year is that? So that's what
a chart here. The chart shows increasing. It's just increasing through the 2020s and 2030s, and then it gets to a peak around 2040 to 2050. So that's still quite a ways out, if that's the case.
Exactly.
So
I think most of these guys these baby boomers are staying in their houses. It's anytime anybody tries to predict anything, they go the opposite. They thought all these guys were going to come out of their houses. Actually, some of them did, and then they realized, wait a minute, I don't want to live next to this close to anybody. I lived in a house in the woods for a reason.
Right.
So they're still going, what the hell do I want to live? I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to, our house is set up. We can get old at this place, and I never have to worry about stairs.
I think most people just want to do that. They want to be in a house that is theirs, they've lived in for years, and just stay there until they die. Why would you want to go somewhere else?
Right.
Sometimes they have to go somewhere else because they get dementia and they can't stay where they're at.
Right. That's medical reasons, All right, Brady, let's try to finish. I think we got a little bit left here, and then I know we have around a little time.
If you could, Brady, find a good chart on the U.S. death rate over the next 30 years and see if you can see where it peaks out. That'd be a really good thing to throw in here to see if it lines up with what he's saying at all.
Yeah, I'll throw that on the screen in the edit. That's a good idea. Thank you.
Yep.
Right. And
January,
then
interest rates go.
I think we're pretty much. Are we just done here, or are we?
Let's roll it some more and see.
Okay.
Wow, everyone. What's the flip side to that?
Man, I don't see it.
So you think everyone at some point is probably going to live in a big multifamily?
I do.
Because that's all that they can afford, or is
No,
that just?
I think because they're going to. It's a more desirable. You only get most of the population's in top 20 cities.
Mhm.
80% of America lives east of the Mississippi River. Only 20% lives on this side of the world, of the United States. Top 20 cities control most of the population. So we don't have a shortage of housing in this country. There's no shortage. It's just a lie. That's a complete lie. I think there's 11 or 12% of the single family housing supply is abandoned homes or empty. There absolutely is no housing shortage. There's another 12% of multifamily that is vacant right now today. Maybe higher than that. We got multifamily with the highest occupancy that I've seen in probably 20 years. So you have probably somewhere between 4.5 million single family homes and maybe 5 million multifamily that are vacant right now. Somebody can move into. So like Trump sent somebody to my office three and a half weeks ago and said, "What would you do?" I said, "I would give an incentive to all the vacancy in this country to occupy that house. If you have a vacant home, nobody's living."
I didn't want to jump on this too much, but I think some of the major problems with those vacant houses is the city bureaucracy, the stuff that you have to go around. If you have an empty lot or a building that is in a certain category in Minneapolis or St. Paul, it is almost damn near impossible to get that thing out of where it needs to be. And that's where I believe where the hiccup is. I can almost guarantee we can't be the only city it's a pain in the ass to work in, right?
Yeah, that could be some of it. I think some of it too. They was talking about like Florida has 3 million vacant houses or whatever. Like there's always just like zombie houses in Florida. It's such a ridiculous thing to say because I'm like, well, yeah, those are called snowbirds. That's what they live up north and they have houses in the south. Like that's not a zombie house. Somebody's doing that on purpose.
They'll be back.
They're going to come back every winter, guaranteed. So, but it's always in the news like 3 million zombie houses in Florida. I'm like, people do this on purpose, guys. Now, are those vacant houses that somebody could move into? Not really, because those people are going to come back in the winter. So right. they sit empty for half the year, and the other half the year they get used. And so there's a lot of this vacant stuff is their vacation, people's second homes, vacation homes, also would be called vacant houses. I mean, some people have 2 or 3 or 4 houses. So then, they don't rent them out. They just use them for their own purposes, and they don't ever rent them out. Those are all vacant houses. Are they going to change? Like, will they start renting them out? I think he talked about giving people incentives to rent them out, and like California has a lot of vacant homes that are second or third houses for people. And I think California started doing something with property taxes. They have a vacant house tax that they levy on you now. So I think you have to have something like that where you actually are charging a higher tax rate for these empty houses. That would be more of an incentive than, obviously they're not that financially motivated because they aren't renting them out. But right. People don't like having to pay extra taxes. I know that. So that could be.
I think the biggest thing when we do these reaction videos, and what we're probably just going to wrap it up here too, is we watch these videos and it looks like they're on a whole, right? They're like the whole United States, or this is what's happening. And I want to think the best thing that we've learned and best thing that we've probably taught people is stop and go in your area. Understand what's happening in your area, not everywhere. Now you can see trends, right? You can see like, hey, if it happens in California or Florida and it typically moves in. But everybody has to do their own homework. We even talked a little bit about that one property that we turned down, but this guy knew more about it and he did very well and made some good money on it because he knew his area.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing that I can tell you, whether you're own a flipping business, you're looking to get into this, is know your area. You're going to achieve, you're going to be successful way more. Again, I know there's a lot of people that do this virtual stuff. You can do virtual. Virtual is not going to be around forever. Again, you can get better deals in your area. Know your area. So that's probably the biggest take that I'm getting off of most of the stuff that we do is we can't just go by Grant going, this sucks right here. Well, yeah, it might suck where he's at. Like,
well, he's making a lot of generalizations based on his personal life experience. This idea that everyone's going to live in multifamily buildings. Probably in Miami where he lives, that might be true. Like, if you want to live in Miami, you're going to live in a multifamily building, probably. Right. It makes sense. But like, is that going to be true in Bismarck, North Dakota, where I'm from? Are people going to live in apartment buildings in Bismarck? No, there's no way. None of those people want to live in apartment buildings. So I don't foresee that happening. And even Minnesota, like there's plenty of land in Minnesota. It's not that expensive. People want to live in houses. I don't know a single person that is aspiring to go move into a multifamily 350 unit apartment building, especially at an older age. No, I'm not seeing that. But yeah, he talks about the top 20 cities. Like, yeah, if you're looking at Miami, LA, Seattle, New York City, if that's where you want to live and that's where you want to operate, then what he's saying is pretty true, probably. But
again, we can disagree. I mean, obviously, this guy's a pretty smart guy, and again, just he's generalizing everything, and it makes for great conversation, right?
Yeah, he's talking top 20 cities, and he also talked like mostly east of the Mississippi. I didn't realize half the population, or 80% of the population, was east of Mississippi. That was news to me. There's some big cities.
I want to go look that up.
Yeah, I looked that up too. That doesn't quite seem right, but it might be. It might be. I mean, the western part of the country is pretty desolate. You still have big cities, but there's the rural areas are empty in the western half of the United States. They're just empty. So where you look at the southeast, like in Tennessee and Kentucky and stuff, there's people everywhere. Ohio, like they're everywhere. Like just because you're not
talking about them spread out. You're talking about spread out.
People are everywhere. Like, the whole state is covered in people. It's not just in big cities,
right?
Because you have farms and stuff, farms and homesteads and different things. Like they're all over the whole state. If you go to like Nevada, like people are not all over Nevada.
No, I get
like 2 cities.
Okay, so what was the migration, right? Everybody moved here, and then they kind of lived in cities, and then they went back out to build on the farms, and then farmers kind of left because technology. So they build factories, and then they needed to have a bunch of factories, workers for them to go to. So they build a multi, apartment complex. Or I see that. I see that. When we were in Europe a few years ago, everything is buildings. You go to Norway,
Multifamily
countries, but they're all jammed in a little bit. We have a lot.
They're urban. Yeah. Urban multifamily makes sense. I think the West doesn't have, there's not much farming in the West. Like you look at like Nevada and Utah and Colorado, like it doesn't rain enough to have farms there. So you don't have the
much grows on rock.
Sand and rock doesn't grow, especially without rain. But if you fly over, like, I remember flying over Iowa one time and looking down at night, and like there's a yard light like every quarter mile through the entire state. The entire state of Iowa has a yard light. Like, so that's how many houses are in the middle of Iowa, because Iowa is a very fertile farmland and it rains a lot. So you've got people all over the state of Iowa. So it's just different. It depends on what part of the country you're in, but. I think I would agree with him on big cities. I would disagree on anything outside of big cities.
Right. So, all right, guys. If you like the content, if you like Jaden and I just rambling on, we're pretty good guys. And if you want to know more, talk about this, talk about Home Guys franchise, like us, look us up, and let's talk. And I guess we always got to say it, Jaden. We made the mistakes,
so you don't have to.
Thanks, everybody.